The results for the YoloBox Pro battery test were ultimately very encouraging. We ran 2 tests. The first one, we had a GoPro, a Sony Handycam, and a Mevo Start camera connected, HDMI, and USB, the Mevo being in webcam mode. As we ran the first test, I noticed the Mevo reported it was receiving a charge. The light on the back of the Mevo was blinking. The only way it could be receiving a charge is from the YoloBox Pro's battery. So it was not surprising when this test ended just under 2 hours. That was not the encouraging part of what we received out of this test. The encouraging part was the second test we ran when we put in a GoPro, the Sony Handycam, and the Akaso V50 Pro Action Cam. On the second round testing the battery life of the YoloBox Pro, I'm going to be running 3 HDMI inputs this time instead of 2 HDMI and 1 USB, each connected via HDMI, so there was no extra battery drain on the YoloBox Pro's battery, and it was able just to use its battery for the stream itself. Now, we were connected via Ethernet. I had Etherneted in using my Inseego MiFi hotspot through T-Mobile, and this connection proved to be rock solid the entire time. I made sure each test had the screen brightness run at about 50% of its maximum, somewhere in the middle. Good clarity to the screen, but not wasting battery power by having it too bright. And we had the cameras set to auto switch in the software of the YoloBox Pro so that each camera received 10 seconds of airtime before going to the next one, and that continued unless one of the cameras dropped out. And in both tests, one of the cameras did drop out. On the first test, it was the GoPro, and on the second test, it was the Handycam. I don't know why they dropped out. I'm assuming it was a battery issue with the camera, as I wasn't in the room as it was testing the entire time. I just monitored it through the YouTube Studio feed that was coming through. And the second test that we ran yielded over 3 hours of streaming time. Now, we were streaming at 1080p, 30 frames per second. So to get 3 hours, 3 cameras hooked up, I thought was a fantastic result for this monitor, encoder, recorder, all in one little box that allows me to have audio control for each of the inputs. It allows me to choose the video input or have it chosen for me. So fully featured, 3 hours of battery life. That's going to get me the entirety of most baseball games, football games. I'm going to be able to do one whole event with a 3-hour battery life. Of course, I can plug it in. I can bring an extra battery block and have that extend the life of this YoloBox Pro. But for it just to run by itself, 3 cameras attached, HDMI for each one of those, and get over 3 hours of battery life, I thought was a fantastic result for this test. If you'd like to see more of my take on the YoloBox Pro, check out the video popping up here.